Hello everyone. I guess we can start with today's lecture, today's session, and I'll share my screen with you people. Today we'll start with the this thing, the quiz that we had other day. Okay, let me bring it on. Okay. So I guess now you guys are very much thorough with the full form of each thing that we have learned. So I had asked few full forms in this particular quiz as well. Uh, mm, yeah. So the questions are over here. This one, many people got this one also as wrong. Kefauver-Harris amendments established after thalidomide drug tragedy. So that is the correct answer. Then Nuremberg Code established after Nazis unethical trial. Then Nuremberg Code emphasized on getting the informed consent from the participants who are going to participate in the clinical trial. Then Belmont reports three principles are what? Respect to the person, beneficence, and justice. And the first very important event contributed to the introduction of GCP is Declaration of Helsinki. So these were the correct answers to the quiz that we had other day. And I think as we are going further, you guys are understanding. I'm hoping that you guys are understanding this particular chapter in much better manner compared to the very first introduction we had about it. So today we are going to talk about Institutional Ethics Committee. Before we go into these are the slide index, whatever we are going to discuss. So introduction part will include the ethical and scientific standards for carrying out biomedical research on human subjects have been developed and established in international guidelines, including Declaration of Helsinki, CIOMS, that is International Ethical Guideline for Biomedical Research involving human subjects, WHO and ICH guidelines for good clinical practices. So these many guidelines we have by far in order to check that all in order to keep a track of good clinical practices. Okay, so why do we need good clinical practices? That is what we have learned in history, like how our history included some unethical trials which led us to have some guidelines in terms of conducting a clinical trial. So moving on, next is national guidelines. National guidelines is same as that of National Act that was developed by ICMR. So ICMR ethical guidelines for biomedical research on human participants and Indian GCP guidelines. So these are like nothing but Indian GCP guidelines. So principle of precaution and risk minimization states that due care and caution must be taken at all stages of the research to ensure that research participants and those affected by it, including community, are put to minimum risk, suffer no harm, known as irreversible, suffer from no known irreversible adverse effect. So basically, this will explain about minimum risk and no harm to the patient with a proper justification of your trial. Okay. So a cardinal principle of research involving human participant is respect for the dignity of the person. So that's the most important principle that you will involve in the conducting of a conductance of a clinical trial. So all guidelines require the ethical and scientific view of biomedical research alongside informed consent formed from each participant. So these are the things that are required. First is the guideline and second is the informed consent form. Next is Declaration of Helsinki. We have seen in detail, but still we'll go ahead and read what is written in this particular slide. So the World Medical Association has developed the Declaration of Helsinki. as a statement of ethical principle to provide the guidance to physicians and other participants in medical research involving human subjects. Medical research involving human subject includes research on identifiable human material or identifiable data. So principles involve the Declaration of Helsinki's principle involve. It is the duty of the physician in medical research to protect the life, health, privacy, and dignity of the human subject. And medical research involving human subject must conform to generally accepted scientific principle. So over here, if you see, the researcher, the physician plays a great role in terms of allowing, protecting the subjects who are participating into the clinical trial, and also letting them know that how your dignity and privacy will be protected at the same time. Then appropriate caution must be exercised in the conduct of the research, which may affect the environment. The design and performance of each experimental procedure involving human subject should be clearly formulated in an experimental protocol. So जैसे तुम तुम्हारे छोटे से experiment का भी protocol लिखते हो in your journals, in the same way you have to write a detailed protocol mentioning about your study, right? The research protocol should always contain a statement of ethical consideration involved and should indicate that there is compliance with the principles enunciated in this declaration. So first is तुमने ethically तुम्हारा protocol consider किया है और इसके बाद तुम हर एक guideline से compliant हो. That means in the sense you are complying to each and every guideline that has been mentioned into Declaration of Helsinki. This independent committee should be in conformity with the laws and regulation of the country in which research experiment is performed. And the committee has right to monitor the ongoing trial. So every country has their individual committee in order to monitor this particular clinical trials that are taking place in their own country. So for India, we have ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research. Okay. Then medical research involving human subject should be conducted only by scientifically qualified person and under the supervision of clinically competent medical person. So only the physician, nurses, uh, and B Farm, M Farm people can participate in this in this conduct of the clinical trials, या फिर BAB trials. People like MSc Bioanalytical Sciences, MSc Microbiology, Chemistry, they can go ahead and enter into the field of data management. Okay, so for having the knowledge of clinical data management will definitely help you in getting a job in that particular area. And currently, CDM is the most important field in any in pharma in terms of many things. COVID-19 is the most important example that we have seen, but still, every medical research project involving human subjects should be proceeded by careful assessment of predictable risk and burdens in comparison with foreseeable benefits to the subject or to the others. So I have been always telling about this particular statement that your risk should be at the minimum and benefit should be higher. Benefit not at the individual level when you are only thinking about the subject, but also with regards to like how it is going to benefit to the society. Okay. Physicians should cease any investigation if the risks are found to outweigh the potential benefits or if there is conclusive proof of positive and beneficial result. So अगर कोई negative results है, then also physician has to take care of it. And if there are any positive results, then also physician will decide how will you take ahead the projects. Okay. Medical research is only justified if there is a reasonable likelihood that the population in which the research is carried out stand to benefit from the results of the research, from the result of the research. So It has to be justified, and it has to be a reasonable likelihood that how the whatever research physician या फिर a researcher is doing, how is it going to be useful for the people, for the society or the population they are trying to target. Okay. The subject must be volunteers and informed participants in the research project. So volunteers in the sense they are voluntarily sitting for the study, but they're sitting after knowing each and every information that is given in the informed consent form. So they are voluntarily sitting for the study. They are not sitting for the study involuntarily. Involuntarily by baitna means somebody is forcing them to sit for the study. So it has to be a voluntary decision. Then informed participant in the research project, in the sense you have to inform them about the study that we are going to conduct, and then only if they feel comfortable they can go ahead and sign the consent form. Every precaution should be taken to respect the privacy of the subject, the confidentiality of the patient's information, and to minimize the impact of the study on subject's physical and mental integrity and on the personality of the subject. So these mental, physical, and social, emotional, all these things are to be taken into consideration while you are enrolling a subject for the clinical trial. For a research subject who is legally incompetent, physically or mentally incapable of giving consent, or is a legally incompetent minor, the investigator must obtain the informed consent from legally authorized representative in accordance with the applicable law. So any of the subject, if you think they are not capable enough or they are not competent enough to give the informed consent of participating into the clinical trial, the legal authorized representative has to sign the consent form on their behalf. In publication of the results of the research, the investigators are obliged to preserve the accuracy of the results. So this is what Declaration of Helsinki involves in terms of its principles. And these all principles are very important when you are thinking about a clinical trial. And this is a basic knowledge about a clinical trial that you have to know, no matter what. Okay. Then next is, we know that IRB is Institutional Review Board, ERB is Ethics Review Board, REB is Research Ethics Board. So these are three boards that are involved into giving approval for any kind of a clinical trial, या फिर research, या फिर ethics trial that you are doing, that a company, institute or a research is trying to conduct. Then let's talk about our main topic, that is Institutional Ethics Committee. So it's an independent body which constituted of medical, non-medical, scientific and non-scientific members. So medical, non-medical, scientific and non-scientific members whose responsibility is to ensure the protection of the rights, safety, well-being of the human subject involved in the trial by, among other things, reviewing, approving, and providing the continuing review of trial protocol and amendments, right? So what is their main role? To review, approve, and provide the continuing review. In the sense, whenever the trial is going on also, ऐसा नहीं है कि उन लोगों ने एक बार अप्रूवल दे दिया तो उनको काम खत्म हो गया. तो जितना देर तक वो ट्रायल चलने वाला है, whatever the amount of period will be, if there are any amendments means nothing but the changes in the protocol, they have to review that also, and they have to be with the study. They have to know that study from the start till the end, right? Until they submit the final report of the particular clinical trial. Okay. Then structure of IEC, very important. Composition, it's a multidisciplinary, multi-sectorial in composition, in the sense, just now we talked about, it involves medical, non-medical, scientific and non-scientific. So ऐसा नहीं है, since ये related science research, life sciences research related है, तो only those people will be involved. Other people who are not from that background will be also over there in order to make sure that there is no injustice in the protocol that has been produced in front of the ethics committee. Number of persons who will be participating in the who will be the part of this IEC committee will be either around 8 to 12 people. Specific members of IEC is the chairperson should preferably be from outside the institution to maintain the independence of the committee. So for example, our KBP college has an institutional ethics committee. So chairperson will not be someone who is from the college itself. The chairperson would be from some another institute, right? The member secretary from same institution should conduct the business of the committee. Then members of IAC, first person that we'll have is chairperson. अभी भी तुम लोगों का अगर if we see that board of studies we have for change of syllabus or something like that, the chairperson for board of studies for our syllabus for bioanalytical sciences was from Ruia College. In the same way, if I have a institutional ethics committee for my college or my institute, I will be having the chairperson from outside of that of my institute. Then 1 to 2 basic medical scientists you should have on your committee. Then 1 to 2 clinical from various institutes, clinicians, sorry. 1 legal expert or retired judge, very important. 1 social scientist or representative of NG voluntary means non-governmental governmental voluntary agency. 1 philosopher, ethicist, or theologian. Theologian, I don't know the meaning, but yeah, philosopher or ethicist in the sense who can make a review about a protocol in a general review. 1 lay person, like common people like us, and member secretary. So these are all the members of IEC, and these people should be around 8 to 12 in number. Okay. Then moving on, EC should, that is ethics committee should establish standard operating procedure that state the function and the duties of ethics committee, membership requirements, the terms of appointment, the condition of appointment, the offices, and internal procedures and the quorum of the requirement. So these are all the standard operating procedure. Means like these are all the things that you should need in order to form a ethics committee. Like you will need the member of the committee. You will also need the SOP for establishing of ethics committee. Then what will be their appointment period? Who can become a chairperson? Uska qualification kya hona chahiye? For all that data you should have with you. And once you form the ethics committee, let me tell you this thing, one thing also, that every time you conduct a trial, when you're attaching all the documents to your study protocol or etc., which you are going to represent in front of the people, या फिर you are going to archive in your facility, each member of the ethics committee, their qualification, their resume, their declaration, everything has to be kept in place. So if there are 8 to 12 people on your ethics committee, सारे लोगों का resume लिया जाता है, सारे लोगों का qualification देखा जाता है, and that particular document you have to keep with you every single study. For every single study, individually you'll have to put the document, right? So if I am working on one study, I'll be putting all the document of ethics committee. If you guys are working on any of the study, one of you people, then you guys will be keeping a record of that particular document. Okay. Then moving on, functions of IEC, very important, is to provide the competent review of all ethical aspects of the project. Okay, so you have to give they have to give a competent review. It's a very difficult job for them to read the protocol and then decide whether this particular study is competent enough, whether it is really needed to be, is there any particular need for this study, and then go ahead and review it accordingly. Undertake the reviews free from bias and influence. This is the most important point. Bias. The decision should not be biased in the sense, since that is the reason we have non-scientific, non-medical people on the board. in order to make sure that the decision is not biased. See, we all are from science field. We understand that this particular part is very good for our research. This particular study is going to influence the population, it's going to help the society. But while doing that, they have to also make sure that there should not be any unethical point in their protocol. There should not be any the beneficent should be taken care of, the justice should be taken care of, the respect to the person should be taken care of. Sometimes there could be some unethical issues that could follow. So that is the reason they have to make sure that whatever decision is made is not influential and it is non-biased. Just a minute. Somebody. Okay. And moving on, they should provide the advice to the researchers on all aspects of the welfare and safety of the research participants. ठीक है ना? So they should guide also. It's not their only job to give this decision, but they also have to guide the researcher and advise them accordingly. And then last one is to protect the dignity, rights, and the well-being of the potential research participants. The most important 4 points of the functions of the IEC. There are further points as well. I'm so sorry. Then next one is to ensure the universal ethical values and international scientific standard in terms of local community values and the customs. Okay. So whenever there are clinical trials that are going on, so first and foremost thing, they also have to look after that whatever protocol they have written and whatever guidelines they are going to follow, they are in relation to ICH GCP or any. See, if I tell you now, since we are discussing about the clinical trials, since I was in BAB trials, there are studies in Glenmark. We used to get the studies from United States, from Europe, from Australia. So for each of these countries, we are conducting the trials in India. Their drugs BAB trial we are conducting in India, right? So whatever guidelines are provided by European country, those guidelines will be following. Whatever guidelines are provided by USA, that those guidelines we will be following. So every time you have to make sure that which country study you are doing, and accordingly you are following the guidelines. If you are doing the Indian drug study, then obviously you will be following the guidelines which are given by ICMR. Okay, so that is the difference. And as you proceed further, if one of you people go in this particular field, you will understand how the studies are distributed and which all countries. So when I was in Glenmark, that time we used to get study from Europe, USA, and also from Australia. So we used to abide to their guidelines only. Then to assist in the development and the education of the research community responsive to local healthcare and healthcare requirements. So these are 6 important points which summarize the functions of IEC, and very important, you must remember them to the core. Okay. Then submission of application of research to IEC. How will you submit the application of research to IEC? Means like now you are an institute, now you are a researcher and you want to submit your application to IEC. How will you do that? So the following documents must be submitted. First is trial protocol in prescribed format. So हर एक country का protocol लिखने का भी guidelines अलग रहती है, ठीक है? थोड़ा सा difference रहता है. It's not that it's going to be there is going to be a huge difference, but they are little bit different when you compare between the countries. So there is a format for writing each protocol. That format also we can discuss later as and when we proceed further with the chapter. Then patient information sheet and informed consent form and its translation. Then investigator's brochure. So investigator brochure is the most important document, let me tell you, because investigator's brochure is the one which gives all the information about the drug. Okay, so we'll conduct one separate lecture for investigators brochure. What does it mean? Then you should give them principal investigators current curriculum vitae. Then insurance policy, compensation for the participants, insurance policy for subjects. If at all during the study, if they face any problem, if they have some particular side effect of the drug they're trying on, uh, if there is any side effect on the subjects, then they should be insured for whatever amount of time they are going to remain in your facility. And after that also, you're supposed to take care of them. So if you say, for example, I have 60 participants or 2 to 3 participants from my study, they started vomiting, they are having headaches, and so they will be admitted into the hospital, and all the money that is required in order to take care of them until they become fit and fine will be taken care by the principal investigator or the institute where the trial is going on. Okay. Then investigators agreement with the sponsor. So investigator agreement with the sponsor. So these two are different people, the investigator and the sponsor. Okay, you have to take a note over here. Then investigate in I must have told you guys before also, I don't remember. So investigator is the one who has his research mind in the project. In the sense, is his research to develop this new molecule, okay, do the preclinical trial, and then he wants to conduct the clinical trial after approval of the preclinical trial. But say, for example, investigator does not have that much amount of money to conduct the clinical trial. Then what will he do? He will look for a sponsor. Okay. Who all can be sponsored? The sponsors could be big company like Glenmark, Cipla, Sun Pharma, etc. Those will be sponsors who will take up this investigators project and go ahead and conduct the clinical trial for him. Okay, so sponsors will do that only when they see any promising result. Okay, so that is what is important. So all these documents will be submitted to IEC in order to get the approval from them. Okay, then review of project, scientific evaluation should be completed before ethical evaluation. So scientific evaluation means scientifically कितना justified है तुम्हारा research, वो पहले वो evaluate करेंगे. Then evaluate the possible risks to the subjects with proper justification and expected beneficiaries. So this is what it is. Okay. So these are the review of the project they have to do before they move ahead and go into the ethical evaluation. Okay. For now, I want to stop over here. Review of the project. We'll start Monday again with the review of the project. Okay. So one thing I wanted to tell you people is about having electives for your third and fourth semester. Okay, electives. Now let's come back to our syllabus. So as we had last academic council meeting, we had been asked to submit some elective subjects which other department students can come and take. Okay. सो इलेक्टिव्स तुम लोगों ने शायद सेकेंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में तुम लोगों ने सुना रहेगा या फिर तुम लोगों ने शायद लिए भी रहेंगे. अप्लाइड कोई लेता है, कोई कैसे लेता है. For us also, we had decided, since we are a choice based credit system, we are looking that we are hoping that our students should be able to take some courses they are willing to from other departments. So there are list of courses that you can do from microbiology, chemistry, या फिर physics department, because these are the close departments to our syllabus, and few students can take our department course for third and fourth semester. So it's a continuation of the course. For example, if I tell you, currently we are learning what GCP and ethical issues, etc., and which can end into clinical data management, right? For clinical data management, for you to learn clinical data management, you should know GCP. So third semester and fourth semester. So third semester has GCP, fourth semester has CDA. So there is a connection between third and fourth semester. So this particular subject we have given to other students as the elective. Okay. For you also, for you guys also to have that elective option, what other departments are offering, you should go and look into their syllabus. If I get the list of courses that other departments are offering, I will be definitely sharing with you people. You can make the choice accordingly whether you want to select any elective subject for which other departments are offering. If you do not want to, you can stick to our syllabus. Okay, it is up only. It is completely up to you. Okay, so that is what it is I wanted to tell you guys about the elective. So as soon as I get the list of elective subjects, you can go ahead and choose. Okay. So for that, the maybe the schedule or something could be little bit different, but then you can work it out. Then if you at all have an interest in any of the subjects that other departments are offering. Okay, that was one thing. And another thing I wanted to tell you about is about Coursera. Yesterday also I have sent you a link about Coursera that you should go ahead and join. The last date of joining the Coursera is 30th of July. After that, our license with them will be expired. Why I'm telling you guys to do that is because one of the internals problem will be from Coursera only. Okay, one or two courses. I'm going to make a bucket of bioanalytical sciences courses in there, whatever are relevant to our subject. And I'll be asking you to go ahead and complete the online courses from Coursera. Why I'm enforcing you guys to go ahead and do the enrollment right now only, because लेटर ऑन अगर तुमने किया भी तो शायद तुम्हें सर्टिफिकेट लेने के लिए पैसा भरना पड़ेगा. अभी अगर तुमने किया तो तुम्हें सर्टिफिकेट के लिए, बिकॉज इट्स फ्री, बिकॉज वी हैव अ टाइप विद देम, our college has a type with Coursera, right? So that's the reason you can do anything right now which will be free of cost, and you will be having a certificate also for yourself which will be free of cost. So you guys have to go ahead and enroll yourself in the Coursera. Okay, and then I will look into some this thing what your courses they are offering, and I will let you know which one are good for you. We can go for any personality development also, or we can go for any courses which are related to our subject. Okay, is there any doubt in this thing? Please unmute yourself and ask me. I'm unmuting everyone.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, yes, Supriya, let me know. Yes, tell me.
मॅम ते तुम्ही स्वयंचे जे लिंक सेंड केलेले ना, मी ते कोर्सेस बघितले, बट मॅम ते कोर्सेस सगळे 12 वीक्स 8 वीक्स अबव आहेत जे आपले रिलेटेड आहेत.
4
आणि
weeks
ते
नाही आहेत
कोर्सेरा आय
कोणते?
थिंक नाही मॅम, मीन्स लाईक मी इंडस्ट्रियल फार्मसी, फूड सेफ्टी, फूड क्वालिटी कंट्रोल, देन अनालिटिकल केमिस्ट्री, हे सगळे जे बघितले ना 12 वीक्स 8 वीक्स अबव आहेत सगळे. आणि आय थिंक त्याच्यासाठी पेड पण करायला लागेल.
अच्छा, काही काही पेड असतील एक्झाम साठी. बट लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग दॅट अवर कॉलेज हॅज ऑल्सो मीन्स लाईक अकॉर्डिंग टू UGC guidelines also, that currently if you don't want to do any of the coursework which is in our syllabus, you can also go ahead and select 1 or 2 courses of 4 credits from Swayam only, NPTEL Swayam. So you can select any course from NPTEL Swayam which will be of 4 credits, which we can swap the credits from Swayam to this particular course. Okay, so that is also one elective option that you will be getting. Okay, tomorrow we'll talk in much detail about this, and let me also see if there are any courses of 8 weeks course you can register yourself, because 8 weeks is nothing but 2 months and we have a long time yet to finish our semester. Okay, we will talk in much more detail. We are about to finish up with the time. Tomorrow we'll start with the discussion on this. Okay, okay. So it's less than a minute. Anytime the meeting will end. So I'll sign off for now. We'll see you all guys on Monday. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye, ma'am.